Hey there everybody, it's Brian Gormley with another edition of Where in Greater DC. We are in a wooded area today. As everyone knows, we film all over the Greater DC, Baltimore area. I give away a free prize for the first person to correctly guess our filming location and send that guess to support at Cornerstone Properties, homeinfo.com. I decided to sift through this settlement agreement, a $25 billion settlement agreement with the Big Five servicers and various federal regulators and state AGs, and thought that we could talk briefly about some of the terms and some of the posturing and so on that is going on right now. So anyway, without further ado, so for those of you who haven't heard, got your head stuck under a log, or just don't really know the details, in last month, February 2012, the Big Five, Bank of America, Wells, Citi, Ally, which is just GMAC, and Wells Fargo, entered into a settlement agreement with 49 of the 50 state AGs. Sorry, Oklahoma, I guess you're outnumbered, and then the Treasury Department, the Consumer Financial Protection Bureau, and some of the other financial regulators, federal regulators, about the robo signing scandal and the servicing procedures that they've been engaged in. And what's interesting to note, and we'll go over some of the details here, is when you talk to folks, you listen to Doug Gansler, for example, the Maryland AG, or others, the first thing that they point out is what this servicing agreement doesn't cover. And specifically they say, well, yeah, we can still sue on securitization claims, we can still have a private right of action, individuals can still sue. Government entities, Freddie, Fannie, FHA, VA can sue on the origination side as well, and so this really just covers the robo signing and servicing, and servicing going forward. So, it's interesting because it's almost a concession, if you will, that what they got was maybe a step in the right direction, but at the end of the day, inadequate. I think there are some steps in the right direction, some concessions here that are helpful at least, particularly from the servicing end. So of the $25 billion, just a quick breakdown, $10 billion actually is supposed to go to help folks reduce principal balances in doing loan modifications, and another $7 is intended, roughly intended to go towards things like short sale facilitation, hiring people and expediting files, relocation, assisting with deficiency waivers. I don't know if that's short sales or loan mods or what. It's a little unclear. But the general gist is to help folks who are trying to do something other than a foreclosure, but maybe not necessarily a loan mod, and also principal forbearances for folks who are unemployed. So it's interesting. Between those two, that's about $17 billion of the 25. That the focus is definitely on, largely on, keeping people in their homes and getting sort of an orderly disposition to properties in a way that doesn't really lead to foreclosure. There's another $3 billion that's allocated to refinancing people who are underwater but who are current. The loan months, you've got to be late or imminently at risk of being late, which in effect means you're late. If we can judge by any sort of experience with Freddie and Fannie standards of imminently foreseeable of default in the past. And so that's only $3 billion for refinancing, and then the rest is paid to states and federal government to reimburse them for claims that have already been made, as well as $1.5 billion to homeowners who have been wrongly foreclosed on. Only $1.5 billion. Can you imagine? It's about $2,000 a person is sort of the projected tally. That is it's crazy. You imagine if you're a homeowner, you've been foreclosed on. You get a check. You say, oh, the bank says, oh well, I guess we screwed up on your foreclosure. Here's $2,000. All is well and good. See you later. Not too much in the way of recompense for folks who really feel like they're due a lot more. So, and I think at the end of the day, these numbers are. Most of these numbers are pretty small. At the right. I mean, $3 billion for refinancing. You're gonna blow through that, very quickly, very quickly. And some of the other things, the $1.5 billion for foreclosure recompensation. Again, very small amounts of money. B of A actually shouldered most of the weight of this, probably about 50%, a little less than 50%, whereas Ally was basically nothing, and the others were kind of close to roughly 20% each. It's very interesting how that works. The servicing standards, though, a couple of points to make on that I thought was interesting. One, they can't dual track loss mitigation with foreclosure anymore. At least they're not supposed to. And the information is supposed to be much more fully disclosed. So, if you have, you have a right under RESPA now, but the lender is supposed to actually give you an affidavit saying that, if you want to know who owns your loan and if you want a copy of the note, then we can and have to provide it. Also, proprietary loan modification programs are supposed to be fully disclosed in terms of eligibility, qualifications, and so on. So, that is helpful. Also, more rigid supervision of foreclosing law firms and trustees. Also, potentially a good thing, and more guidance on actual proving standing to sue. So, again, we've talked about this before. With securitizations, it's not clear exactly who has standing to sue, particularly when the note and the deed of trust has been bifurcated. The note may have been sold to a securitization trust, but the deed of trust never made it there, and so the lender on a defaulted note, the lender, quote unquote lender, the securitization trust who owns the paper may not have the right to go exercise its rights under the deed of trust. So that's it's an interesting legal argument that's been used successfully and effectively by some people. In many cases, and so the lenders now have to actually prove up that they have the standing and the ability to sue. In other words, they have the note and the deed of trust all in one place. And there's some appeal rights here, it looks like, for denials of loss mitigation relief, foreclosure alternative relief. There are some they're supposed to expedite and facilitate short sales, so we'll see how that goes. And there is some interesting Service Member Civil Relief Act provisions. If you're not supposed to get foreclosed on if you're an active duty military personnel, right? And so if you have been wrongly foreclosed on, it sort of tracks with the lender. Chase is actually supposed to be able to give you your home free and clear, or pay you the fair market value of that property at the time of sale. Others are supposed to give you damages and potentially up to $116,000 on top of the damages, actual harm. And B of A doesn't sign on to that. I guess there's a different provision for them on a case-by-case basis. So, there's definitely some rights here that homeowners can avail themselves of. At the end of the day, all of this sounds well and good, but you have to think that lenders are crafting procedures in a way that complies with things like single point of contact and so on. But for the uneducated consumer, query how much relief is really going to be provided. Folks who have gone through a divorce, who've lost a job, who are going through an arm reset, and can't pay their mortgage accordingly, they're still up a creek, and whether and how much this relief really trickles down to them is yet to be seen. Even with the servicing standards, it's good fodder for policymakers and potentially for educated loss mitigators like attorneys and so on. But whether that really has any impact on the ground, if folks in the customer service department or loss mitigation department or the foreclosure department at the banks are actually well enough trained and educated to respond, is yet to be seen. So those are my thoughts. Let me give you a 360, the clue on where we are, because this is it's a bunch of trees around here, and that could be just about anywhere. Check out the winding road. It's pretty indicative of where we are. So don't forget, support at cornerstonepropertiesHomeInfo.com, and we'll check you out on another video on another week. Thanks for listening. Bye-bye.